Hi guys, I'm Greg.
I'm John.
So we finally saw the movie Split.
Split!
We have this segment called How It Could Work where we take sequel ideas, reboots, remakes, whatever.
This is a hypothetical movie. We're going to beat it out and
Yeah.
tell you how it could work.
And we beat out the whole thing. So we spent like hours working on an Unbreakable 2 concept prior to the release of Split.
It took us like several days
took
to
us several-
crack the
yeah.
story, bring up
The
details.
video is like an hour long of us just telling the story that we came up with from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And people were like, yeah, you really should watch Split. You should. Because the fact that there's no Kevin in here is not a real Unbreakable 2. And before we go into our Split spoiler ending discussion, I just want to say that I think our story could still work. I think it could be like what David does prior to him learning of Kevin.
Yeah,
Right?
totally.
That's all it has to be.
I don't think, and I don't know, like, I haven't read any deeper into the comments, but the whole, like, oh, you guys need to see Split, like, I don't think that's necessarily saying it can't work.
Yeah.
I think it's just people being like, there's more context, guys!
Yeah.
You know, which is fair, but yeah, I agree.
15 years later, we could have a sworn other David Dunn story that happened
Ours
prior to this.
Yeah, it's just, this is what, yeah, exactly like you said. This is what David Dunn was doing this whole time.
Yeah.
You know, and this is maybe going to open the door for them to come together.
I think our story, then a Split Unbreakable hybrid,
Yeah.
would totally be awesome, actually.
Yeah, actually.
I was like, what are people talking about?
M.
This would be so cool if you just did this one.
Get on the horn. We got an idea just for you, and hey, we'll cut you a discount.
Yeah, he'll cut you a discount.
Yeah.
$200 is all we ask
Google
for.
Google AdSense for the movie.
Anyway, now that we got that little rant off our chest,
Yeah.
let's talk about the ending of this movie. So, the ending of Split, we don't... Listen, here's what we'll say about how we feel about the film. Any good review you heard, that's probably exactly what we would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to put it out there bluntly, all right? Like,
Yeah.
we can go into our
It's
detailed
really-
talk and everything.
It's intriguing and it's unsettling,
Yeah.
and
It's
James
shot really well.
McAvoy's great.
James McAvoy is
shot
amazing.
well.
Yeah.
You know, there's a few moments of stiff dialogue, but other than that, it's really cool.
And the ending is, I will say, leading into the ending talk, like we've been doing this whole time, without knowing that this is linked to Unbreakable, I know some people had issues with him, like, developing the super strength when he becomes the Beast, climbing up the walls and shit. Some people had issues with that, because it is a little bit out of the realm of what this movie's world has established. Like, they didn't allude to any of that being a possibility yet.
I always think those are interesting, like these kinds of, because this is kind of a sci-fi movie when you really think
it
about
so
it.
is.
Yeah. I feel like sci-fi movies like these often come to a point where they take a leap, and it's a matter of, is that leap too big or too little? It's like, you know, when we go a little further into the future, we're on the precipice of something. And so for this movie, I thought they did it pretty well.
Yeah, I liked it when it happened.
They kept it down to earth, and they at least explain the idea and the phenomenon of, like, oh, his brain is evolving, and it's evolved to such a point that it's creating its own design and its own chemistry.
It literally changes his chemistry when it hops between bodies. And I'm like, that is totally sci-fi, not too far of the realm of reality.
Yeah, well, and
if
when
you
you
like study like these kinds of things, you know.
Well, yeah, when you see the Beast, you know, he's just sort of jacked and animalistic. Like, he is just another version of this guy who is, again, heightened. You know, I think it would have been really weird if he came back as, like, that big black demon guy.
Yeah.
But, like, the way they did it here is just he gets just kind of huge and primal.
In my own personal life, I am one of those people who believes in the belief of that you can become whoever you want and what you want to do based off what you believe you are and what you can achieve. I'm saying that if there was someone out there who believes he can become like that strong, and he actually really believed it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't believe that. I'm not at a level in my life yet where I can believe that about me. But if there was someone I met who just fucking believes that, and then he achieves it, I'll be like, well, yeah, he believed that, so he achieved it, you know?
Yeah. Well, these movies both have that sort of thread of belief and, you know, the things you can realize and actualize when you believe.
Because even if you look at the movie Unbreakable, David Dunn learns that he can't actually activate any of these powers unless he believes he can do it first.
Yeah.
Till he ponders about it. Like, even though, like, the weightlifting scene, he's like, he thought he could only lift a certain amount and he had a hard time with it.
Yeah.
But the more he kept believing he could do more, he suddenly could do more, you know? This movie falls in the same category of how belief shapes who we are. It's the same themes, and that's when I started seeing, like, the Unbreakable similarities. Now, as far as the ending, to talk good about it, I think the concept and knowing that it's part of the same Unbreakable universe and that this could be a potential villain for the next, like, Unbreakable installment they make, I think is really cool. I love the idea. I love the idea of a secret sequel or secret spin-off. without letting the audience know up front in trailers and marketing that this is in the same world, I think is brilliant. And it's exciting for us because people have wanted an Unbreakable 2 for so long that this is a great way to do it.
Well, and surprise too, like surprise sequel, surprise origin story actually is really nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it gives you a chance to go in cold and get intrigued again in a way you couldn't. So like that's a special part of this for me. So yeah, like really bringing it in and going, this is Unbreakable was like a cool treat that I wish I had no idea about when I went into this.
Exactly.
Because I didn't know if this was going to link directly into Unbreakable. I just know it started a conversation about Unbreakable 2. Throughout the movie, I had it in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
But even so, it doesn't get in the way of everything, and I think that's nice. Like it is a nice sort of unfolding of that story.
Yeah, and I know that knowing David Dunn this is the same world of Unbreakable that made people easier to latch on to the fact that he is the beast, that he could achieve this level of like superhuman strength as well. But what I will say though, I didn't like the way it was done. I just didn't. Like, I love the idea and I love everything about including it. It's just the way it was put in was like, I didn't really like that scene.
It felt like a scene out of a different movie almost.
And the actress who had weird ADR. Hey, he has a name.
What was his name
Wasn't
again?
there another guy they named too?
Yeah.
It felt like a bad post-credit Marvel scene or something like that.
Yeah, I could really feel them telling me. Like that's the thing, is that scene I feel like could have worked pretty easily if they just treated it with a little more of a natural tone. Like if you just if you tracked down the bar and just kind of heard what each person was talking about, and then you got to that, where you just have two people like, wasn't there another guy who had a name? And like you could tuck it in there really easily, but it's like it's so on the nose.
It wasn't done in a natural way.
Yeah.
Like it didn't fit with the rest of the movie at the point. So I like that it smashes to black, and then they have this extra scene. Because I'm like, I kind of consider the scene, everything before that, the complete movie. And then you have this like, it's like before the credits, but it's like a post-credit scene,
Like it's a tiny gripe, but I feel like it almost would have played better with that gap.
Yeah. And so I'm not upset at all that it's linked to him. Like I want to make this clear. I'm really happy that it's part of the Unbreakable world. I think it's brilliant what M. Night Shyamalan did, especially setting up a villain, because he's supposed to be the original antagonist for Unbreakable before M. Night wrote him out. Like really getting to know this villain, it was a brilliant concept. I'm really excited to see when they do cross paths.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see that when that does happen. It's just the way the scene was executed. It was my only gripe about it.
Yeah, basically.
That was the one scene that I was like, this is the only scene I really have an issue with out of the whole movie.
Well, because, like tacking it on to the very end of the movie makes it read like a piece of a whole entire movie.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I would have been more forgiving if it was on its own.
Yeah.
Be like,
exactly.
oh, maybe they just shot this later or something, to give us the hint. But I liked seeing Bruce Willis. It's exactly that. It's like, if they just toned it a little differently, I think it would have been really cool.
Yeah.
And it is really cool. And again, I liked so much about Unbreakable that there are a lot of different genre elements in it. Unbreakable tipped into horror a few times for me. Like, some of those crime sequences and when he's, like, first fighting off that dude in the house, like, those are actually tense and horror centric.
Well, even the beginning with the train sequence and everything, it reads like a horror film.
And so to swing more to that side of the spectrum for the villain, I think is actually really cool, because this weird little superhero, I guess if you want to call it that, universe becomes fascinating to me in that way, because it's more broad thematically. I guess,
absolutely. I'm excited for when they do cross paths. I wouldn't mind another Unbreakable movie that doesn't have Kevin just yet, honestly. I would want to see like another adventure in David. Like, I kind of feel like I wouldn't want this to just be a trilogy.
Well, and I also like the time passage, I think, is part of it too for me.
It's
like
a big time gap there.
Yeah, it's like you made Unbreakable and it's been like 16 years.
Yeah.
We just met Kevin. I feel like we have to check back in with David Dunn before we smash them together.
Exactly, because then I feel like you might have a balance issue too with balancing out Dave. I don't know. M. Night has his grand idea. I know he has a small outline right now. Unbreakable and Split are two of his greatest films he's done. So I'm sure he has a great idea for how to mesh these two together. Just my preconceived thoughts are like, will it really be executed in a way where I feel like we get the right amount of screen time for both?
Well, I feel like the thing that gives me hope for this is the thing, the quote from him where he basically said, like, Unbreakable, I want it to be its own piece. Split is its own piece. And the third movie, I want to be its own piece.
Yeah, exactly.
And that gives me faith. If they only do 3. Like, ideally, I would love another David Dunn movie. Kind of like our movie.
Yeah.
Just because now we can spend some time with these characters here and now right before they collide.
Exactly.
But knowing that he wants to do something distinct with the third one too, hey, I'm open now. Like he's done well enough recently that I'm open to seeing what he's gonna do because I think he can do it. You know.
I know he's saying that he wants his next film that he shoots to be this movie. I would like him to do one more.
Take a break.
I would like him to do one more film though.
Yeah.
Show that he can just still mix it up and then go back and do this. You know, not just immediately go into Split Unbreakable.
You just got back on the good graces with The Visit.
Yeah.
You got people really excited with Split.
Yeah.
Now take a second before you do your franchise.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Well, guys, what do you think of the Split ending? You like it? You like it a lot? Did you watch our video? Probably not. It's an hour long. If you stick around for that whole video, we love you. Subscribe to The Real Rejects today. John is Reasons to Jerry on Twitter and Instagram. He's also the social media manager of Facebook.com/TheRealRejects. And he's the social media manager of the sites that produced Split.
Yeah, that's true.
Blumhouse.
Blumhouse Productions.
Blumhouse?
Yes.
People give me shit all the time. I see Blumhouse. Blumhouse?
Most people do, but
How does Jason say it?
he says Jason Blum.
He's saying it wrong.